something that percolated, or just anything improv wise? Like, where are we?
I was thinking about something from last week when we were talking about the auditions. And you're mentioning, how quickly you can see if somebody is a true improviser or really gets it. But so my question is, like, what do you think would, and this is for Tony or Patty, whoever, is what would be your top 3 or even 4? What would be your top 3 like attributes of an improviser? Would it be they're like being grounded, authentic, funny? Would it be like present? Well, like, what would be the top 3 things you would say would make a great improviser?
In an audition?
It could be an audition and or just in general. Like,
well, auditions are different. Auditions are, you can't really, you've got to be aware that you're taking an SAT test, and today's different from yesterday because what you're doing today is being graded by somebody that you don't know. So auditions, one of the things I would, the first thing that pops into my mind is, do I want to do improv with this guy or girl? Would I want to do improv with them? Do they? That's it. I mean, it's a feeling. But the rest of it, like I said, it's every different place that you go to audition is so subjective, and they all have their own methods, and some of them are cliques, and some of them are corporations, and some, it depends. And so my advice about auditions in general is to do a little bit of everything, to be the crazy one, do the crazy loud stuff, do the grounded stuff, do the support stuff where you say and do exactly the right thing and get the hell out, and then do the stuff that shows that you know how to connect, the emotional stuff. You can do all that in 5 minutes in one piece. So that way, whoever's judging you, they're going to at least see something that they like. And if they see one thing they like, they'll forget about the 3 things that they saw that they didn't so much like. But it's like covering all the numbers on a roulette table. You just want to try, you don't win anything, but if you cover the numbers, you're not going to lose, except for 0. Anybody else? What do you think of as a good improviser? I'm just talking about auditions right now, but you can talk in general terms.
Well, I feel like just improviser in general, I feel like everyone seems to have their special little niche that they're really good at, and then they have other attributes that are still there but not their main thing. Like some people just have certain, I don't know if it's personality, but certain characters that they can go into real easy, that are comfortable once you get to know them, and they're really good at them. So it's always like a comfortable fallback regardless. And they're just natural. It's like a natural thing, like everyone seems to have their natural character that they can do. And then what you're honing seems to be all the other characters you could possibly have, or all the other things you could possibly do. But everyone seems to have one thing that they're really good at. From what I noticed, like some people are good at playing more of a passive role. Some people are better playing more of a aggressive. Some people are more of a heartfelt. Some people are more of this. But I noticed that everyone seems to have one thing that they really seem to get excited about doing, and then other characteristics seem to be still there, but just not as prevalent as the one main one.
Anyone else? It doesn't matter who. Any other thoughts about what you think is a good improviser? It's an interesting thought, and of course, there's no right answer. But
sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess after doing it for so many years, I'm more thinking about who I see perform and who I think has experience or has been doing it, and a good indicator is seeing beginners and seeing them do the things that I did when I started out. So I remember when I first started out, I used to try to fill the air a lot. Silence really made me uncomfortable. So when you see folks perform who are very comfortable in the quiet parts, who who can emote even in silence and things like that. That's when I see that, I think, okay, this person's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, emote is good. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing up there. You know, it's not a TED talk. It's not about all the interesting things that we think of to say. That's nice, but it's really about the connection. And can we see a connection? Can you feel a connection between or among the improvisers? And so I guess a good improviser is someone who understands that, to me, and who isn't just out there. They've got all their jokes in their head, and they're just there because their girlfriend and the girlfriend's aunt and their best friend are in the audience, and they want to prove to them how clever they are. You know, that's not. Yeah.
I think it's believability, even if it's really off the wall shit. Like, if we can believe that you believe whatever you're saying, that's what I feel like they're good. Even if it's about Martians or some shit that's, you know, ridiculous.
Well, that, you know, you've heard me say something like that. You know, that is what grounded improv is. It's not grounded. Doesn't mean dull or dreary or dramatic. It just means that the actors are saying things that the characters are saying things that they believe, and they could believe all kinds of stuff, as long as it's clear to me and to my as the audience or as the partner of this person that I didn't just say it because I thought of a funny thing. That there's a reason for me to say it, and everything is believable, and none of it is just shit that I'm throwing in to be clever. You know? So yeah, that is nice.
I think the other thing that almost even kind of stuck out to me today, and it's kind of silly, but we were doing like a warm up for one of my classes, and like they were just asking, like she had this wheel and it spun and like it came up on a question, and things like that used to freak me out because, you know, I was like, oh, like my classmates all know that I'm supposed to be the funny one, and so like I have to have like this funny witty answer to say, and so like it kind of caught me off guard because I didn't expect it. We were just doing a random activity, and I was like, and I just said the first thing that came to my mind. And like, that's just so different than like the way that I'm used to normally doing things. And I've realized that like, I've gotten a lot more in the moment, and we've talked a lot about like, you know, not necessarily being like the witty person and like not necessarily having to worry about saying the right thing, but it's just kind of like, just kind of like going with it, and to realize like, okay, in that moment, I still came up with something. Like, I know it's kind of a silly example, but I know for me, like that's something where it's kind of like, I feel like I always have to be that person. And, I don't know. That was kind of eye-opening to me.
I don't know why that would seem silly to you. I mean, that's exactly the case. You know, yeah, there's nothing wrong with if you're witty. There's nothing wrong with showing that in an improv scenes. There's nothing wrong with it.
But it's not like you have to like pre-think about everything.
Right,
like you don't have to sit and think, well, what am I going to say 3 lines from now that's going to now make this funny?
Yeah, right.
I think that's what witty is like intelligence working really fast to just say something in the moment,
or do something,
and that's being witty.
But it's not that it has to be this big huge grand thing, and that's what I always thought. I'm like, oh, but like how can I write this joke so that it goes this way, and like whatever, versus just like I literally just said something and it was like, and you know, without thinking of it, that was just the first thing that came to my mind, and that in itself was witty because it just wasn't expected.
There you go. Well, that's well then you know if you plant the seeds and you till the soil and all that stuff, then the witty stuff will grow organically out of your scenes. And it's the connection. I saw a duo in Chicago years ago, a male-female duo. They eventually actually got married, but not in the scene in real life. And it was a very long duo. It was a beautiful duo. It was like a 40-minute thing, and they were so precise and so invested in one another that literally all she had to do was raise her eyebrow and raise her finger to her nose. Laughs, huge laughs, or engagement, because every little movement mattered. Why? Because they were so invested in it that she didn't have to, and he didn't have to come up with some jokey joke. And this was 8 years ago, and I still remember the scene. How many scenes that you have been in or I have been in can you remember 8 years from now? That was fucking brilliant. When I saw that, I immediately had to start taking classes with these people and learning from them, because this is not whose line is it anyway. This is not jokey joke. It's something.
Yeah.
It's not art. It's just it's fucking beautiful, you know. And they made it look so easy. It didn't look like they were thinking of techniques. They just understood the techniques, and so they could do what they were doing. And I've seen them numerous times, and they're always like that. So, but would they pass an audition? Would either one of them doing that walk in, do 5 minutes in an audition and pass by doing that? 50-50.
But do you think any part of that has to do with the connection that they have as a married couple? That like that makes a difference? Or do you feel like you can have that connection with anybody that you walk on stage with if you're that good?
I think they're a married couple because they had that connection. But they weren't a married couple then. But I've seen other duos like that. And Rosowski was in at least two of them. Dave Rosowski was in at least two of them, where it's more, it's synergy. It's more than the sum of its parts. You know, it's funny, and but it just the laughter comes from someplace way deep down. It's not just this, but like I said, if you're witty, if you're funny, if that's the kind of person you are, you don't have to hide that under a bushel. You know, you can still be that. But just think of that as the decoration on the cake, and you can decorate the cake any way you want, but just make a decent cake. You know, make a solid, decent cake that's made correctly. And if the scenes and that format is good, and your work is good, then you can layer all that goofy stuff on top of it, and you've got a beautifully decorated cake. It doesn't have to be a pound cake. You know? This brings me up to thinking about a thing that I was thinking about the other day. Here's a question for you, any improviser. What do you think the job is as an improviser? If thinking whether you get paid or not, it's a job. People have hired babysitters and chosen to come to a theater and pay money. They could be doing anything. They could be watching a movie. They could be anywhere. They paid to sit in the theater. So there you are. What do you think your job is?
Make people laugh.
But you could do that by falling into a bowl of chocolate pudding.
Connecting with the audience. I mean, for me, it's connection. It's connection with my scene partner. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, it's just, I mean, my job is just connect with my scene partner and have fun with it, and connect with the audience, you know, but have fun with it.
Okay.
What about relatability? So you connect with your partner, but in a way that the audience can kind of relate.
Yeah, you're answering as though you think that I have the answer, and that you're trying to guess it. I don't.
Well, you do.
There are answers, but I don't know the answer.
Well, I think
being funny is an answer, and it's certainly something you want to do, but it's not enough.
I mean, people paying the money and getting the babysitter and coming out to be entertained. So if we entertain them, then I think we've done the job. I don't think it's a very complicated equation there.
True. Mm-hmm. But do we need to give them what they're expecting, or do we need to give them what they're not expecting? I mean, entertain.
What they're not expecting.
Like I said, you can have a food fight on stage, and maybe some people would be entertained. No one thing is going to be the thing that entertains everybody. So what do you do? Well,
I think you do what you always do, right? Like, I don't go to watch a sporting event and expect them to do something different than they always do. If they play a certain way, it's tough defense, that's what they do. If they're paying to come see you and that's the show, then you do what you always do. If they come back to see it, then they liked what you did. If they never come back, then they don't. I personally don't feel it's something that, you know, you go out on stage and you just create something new because you feel a vibe that's different. You're going to be, you know, maybe you change things a little bit, but you're going to give them what you do. That's what you do. You know, your group is your group and this is your style. That's what you do. You know, other people are going to do what they're doing. That's what you do. So I don't think that, you know, I think you just give them what you always do, and they're either going to like it or they're not.
I think we said a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, when we were talking around the subject about how you're not really going out there to try and get the laughs and try and give people what you think they may want. I think that's a real big danger, and you wind up falling between all the stools. I think you go out there, you give the best you can, you enjoy yourself, you work with the people you're with, and at the end of the day, you'll entertain hopefully most of the audience. But it's what you do. I don't think there's a foolproof plan to get everybody.
Right.
It works or it doesn't. By the way, I pay to watch my team. I pay to get aggravated, not to get any pleasure or entertainment, by the way, with my sports team. It's just
and they wear red too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Jeremiah, thanks for being here and for wearing red. Oh my God, look at this guy.
Hey.
So you know, we're in Florida, South Florida, which is kind of an improv outpost. So a lot of the people, I'd say half of the people who come to see a show don't actually even know what they're coming to see. I mean, if they go to see stand-up comedy, whatever kind of stand-up comedy you do, they're expecting somebody to stand up with a microphone and say funny things. So they get that. But when they come to an improv show in a place like this, I don't know if half of them know what to expect. So should I care what they expect? Because whatever I do, it's not going to be what they expect.
I don't think you should care.
Can I ask you, do you consider, like, because I guess, like, I've always called it, like, improv comedy. Is it not improv comedy? Or is it just improv? I know that's semantics, but...
I like to say improv because, I mean, it's improv comedy. That's what we're doing, you know. But because years and years and years and years ago, a place called the Improvisation began to ask people to do comedy in their place instead of jazz, because you didn't have to pay comedians like you have to pay jazz musicians. And then it got shortened to the Improv. The Improv now is associated with stand-up comedy.
Gotcha.
So when you say improv comedy, you're basically telling people, hey, it's the Improv. Well, it's not the Improv.
Gotcha.
If you say comedy, people are going to be expecting a laugh the very first words out of your mouth on a stage, and they're not going to be patient necessarily. But I don't know.
Yeah, I guess for me it's kind of like, you know, we were talking about like how we consider it and like what's our job, and I'm like, well, if it's improv comedy, but you know that not necessarily, I mean, they should be funny, I guess, but there's improv scenes that like aren't necessarily funny, but they're really good improv scenes. So
well,
it's
I was thinking about it too, and think of a plumber. You know, a plumber. I call a plumber. The plumber comes to my house to fix the sink. Right. While he's fixing the sink, he's not worried about me. How he's doing what he's doing. Do I think he should use this wrench or that wrench? His job is to simply do the thing that he has been trained to do, and while he's doing it, not worry about how I think, how he's dressed or how he's doing his job.
It could be a very insecure. It could be a very insecure plumber.
I didn't know that they existed.
The cheap ones.
Yeah. But seriously, so in improv, why don't I just train myself as well as I possibly can, know as much as I possibly can, work on my craft or whatever you want to call it, as much as I can, and then just do what I do, do what we do, and not worry about every moment whether I'm using the right tool, you know, just the result. So it takes a lot of the worry. You know, how come this? I got to make sure that guy in the back laughs. He hasn't laughed on my fuck up. This isn't his thing, or maybe he's enjoying it without laughing. I don't know. But
well, but if the plumber comes and he doesn't fix my leak, you know.
yeah, I know. You're right.
You hire a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we should be entertaining. In other words, what we should be doing should be an entertaining thing, because that's what we know how to do. But if we go out there thinking, I want to please these people, well, what about just doing what we know how to do? You know, I'm a doctor. I'm going to please this patient by prescribing the thing that I know they want me to prescribe, even though they don't need it. You
Good
know?
doctor.
Not. Yeah. Well, sort of. Yeah.
From Florida a few years ago.
sort of an improv doctor, right? I don't know.
But you know what's interesting, circling back to the audition thing before, I've never auditioned for in an improv situation, but I imagine in any audition you're deliberately going out to impress the people that you are sitting in front of. So it's like the complete opposite of what you're talking about in an audition.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like studying for the test.
Yeah.
You know, you're not really learning anything. You're just studying because you think you might not have to regurgitate this particular stuff on a test. And auditioning is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's like speed dating. I mean, how long does it take you to figure out that person sitting across from you is just not the one you want to go out on a date with?
Real quick.
Right. Same thing with auditioning improvisers.
Well, I was just thinking about what Tony said about the silences and you know, getting comfortable with the silences. But I feel like if you're auditioning, you can't be too comfortable with the silences, because it might be looked at the wrong way. Like once you're on the thing and you're doing scenes, then you can be more comfortable with it. But I've never auditioned, and you guys could probably tell me, or Tom, like, is it okay to get out there and have all those comfortable silences or uncomfortable silences in an audition?
It depends. I've judged a number of auditions over the years, and with a group of other people, you know, who are responsible for saying yes or no to people, and we all have our own approach. And what I see in somebody might not be what someone else sees. And at the end, when we say goodbye to all the auditionees, and we talk about it, I'm usually the one saying, yeah, but the one that you say no to, she's the one who just came in and said exactly the right thing and gave that guy the thing, everything. And then she left, and she seemed to know exactly when she was needed and exactly when she wasn't. And it was hard to see that unless you're looking for it. But that takes guts to get out there and do that and not tap dance throughout your audition. But
so when we're talking audition, is this like auditioning to join a troupe or
Yes.
auditioning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so are these auditions with the whole back line? Is it just solo, two people? Like
every place does it differently.
They're all different. Okay.
The way we've done it down in Miami, and the way we done it the few times we've done it with Sick Puppies, and the way I've seen it elsewhere, they try to do a little mixture of everything. Like they'll throw the auditioners on the back line and have them do maybe some montages. Then they'll put them up either together, two by two, to do some short 2-person scenes, or they'll throw an experienced improviser in with each one of them to do a 2-person scene with each one of them. But that's just to make it seem like they're being given a fair shake. Like I said, you can tell in 5 minutes. It's not hard to see if what you're looking for is there. What I'm looking for may be different what someone else is looking for. And that's why we talk about it afterwards and say, hey, did you notice this? Oh no, I didn't realize that. Yeah, yeah. All she did was deny everything that everybody was saying. She was funny, but nobody else got any oxygen.
What
In the
about
scene she was in.
what about like you have a particular fit, you have a group of whatever 5, 6, you have a couple like low energy, more calm, you got this, that. Maybe would it be scenarios where you're just looking for a particular type
Yeah.
of person to fit the fit?
I've seen that. It's more of like a deterministic kind of thing. We're building this team and we need a shortstop. And you may be a great pitcher, but we've got a pitcher. That's I don't know if that's rare or not. I don't think I've ever looked at any potential castmate and thought they're great, just not the type we're looking for. Hey, you know what? If you're really good, you can do anything. If you're
Do you
really
have
good, you can be the quiet one, you could be the loud one, you could be the ninja, the robot, or the pirate, you know?
do you have like a certain in your head like cast of people that you think makes up like a good troupe? Like you said, the shortstop, the second base, the pitcher.
No.
No, there's
You see, that's what that's what the whole thing with the robot, ninja, and pirate are about. Raise your hand if you've never heard that analogy: robots, ninja, pirate, improvisers. This is not me. This is one or two. Some other people in the past have come up with variations on this, and they break types of improvisers into 3 types. Just random. One is they call the robot. The robot is the improviser who tries to check off all the boxes, make sure that everything is done right, make sure that we need a button right here, or we need it's a Harold and we need a new beat here. They make sure that the rules are being followed and everything is being done correctly. And if it's not, they try to get it so that it is. They're robots. The ninja is the improviser who waits and then sees where something is needed and just dashes in, gets it done, leaves. And you almost don't even know they were there, except they've just done something brilliant and now they're gone. And the pirate is the one who puts the sword between their teeth and swings into a scene, not caring or knowing what the fuck's going on. They're full of energy and they're just gonna, I've arrived, and they do crazy, unpredictable things. And each one of those 3 things is a good thing if that's what you do. There's no one that's any better than the other. And no one is just one of those things, but everyone has one tendency that they seem to do more than other things. So the purpose for thinking in this way was to figure out how to build improv troupes. Okay, let's build a troupe. We're going to need 2 pirates, a ninja, and 2 robots. So the point being that rather than trying to make everybody the same, everybody be a triathlete, everybody doing everything, we'll just find people and okay, the thing that you are comfortable doing, do that. You don't have to try to do the thing that this other person's comfortable doing. We've already got that. So it's deterministic. It's like we're looking for certain types so that you don't have to be versatile. But the other way of using that is for yourself, is to figure out which one of them you are mostly, and then ask yourself which one you think you are. Ask your castmates which one they think you are. Sometimes it's not the same. They see you differently. And then try to be the other 2 every once in a while so that it's like, learning to kick with your other foot in soccer every once in a while, just to strengthen that muscle. So it's more of a self journey kind of a thing.
That would be interesting to see what each one of us thought we were, and then what everybody else sees us as.
Okay, let's do it.
Can you explain them again?
It,
Robot is the rule follower. Make
Okay.
sure everything's being covered. Pirate is the one who just jumps in and does crazy stuff, and everyone else will sort it out. And the ninja is the one who comes in, does a few things that are needed, leaves, comes in, does a few things that are needed, but is more reactive. They're seeing what's needed, doing it, leaving. And you almost don't notice them, except they have a huge impact. So I'll start with you, Lauren. What do you think you are?
Good, Lauren.
Seriously, like I said, it doesn't matter. They're all
no,
good.
We should
Could I
first.
get feedback after what
Yes,
I say?
yes, of course.
Okay.
Wait, shouldn't we tell her what she is first?
No, let's hear what she thinks first, so that we don't influence her.
Oh, okay.
Well, I definitely think I'm very reactionary, so I guess I would say ninja.
Okay.
Is that the last one? Ninja?
There's no last. They're all.
No, he
equal.
said pirate, robot,
Yeah.
Pirate.
ninja.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
that's
one.
what he said. Yeah.
So you think you're a ninja? Okay.
Because I think I'm very like reactionary, come in and do whatever needs to be done.
Okay. Anyone have a different feeling about Lauren?
What, Lee?
Lee,
What's
what?
that?
Lee, you're muted.
Are
Yeah,
you?
Patty, you're muted too, by the way. Oh.
Yeah, she's done that. Lee's not muted from this end. He's
You
not
seem
muted.
very
Lee's a ninja.
Oh, definitely not.
He's a bowl of popcorn.
Bowl of popcorn.
Okay.
he seemed so into what he was saying too.
Okay, Lee, where are you?
I'm back.
Okay.
I had the Bluetooth speaker on, like I was trying to hear louder, but I was
Yeah.
going to say I think Lauren's more of a pirate because I feel like she enters a lot of scenes at like a 10 or like a 9 or a 10, and she brings in these
Really?
ideas, and
Yeah.
you got to go with it.
That would have been my thought, but
Pirate?
Pirate.
Yeah. Anyone else? Of those who know Lauren, who thinks pirate? Raise your hand.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's
Okay.
so
Depends
interesting.
on what the type of scene it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think she
But-
waits and sees, and then like she'll throw herself in there.
Okay. So
Come on.
she's a shy pirate.
I thought that ninja was an easy answer.
Shy pirate.
Okay.
Arr.
Okay, Ellen. How about Ellen? What do you think?
Ellen's a robot.
No, don't say it yet. Let her say it.
Oh
Ask Ellen, what do you
I think. I
no,
think-
Ellen says first.
I think Sarah just proved that she's a pirate. I'm not sure.
I was gonna say it, but all right, we'll wait until her turn. But yeah, I'm a rule follower. Well, Sarah, you know.
So Ellen's taking notes while we're doing this class right now. But not in a bad way. Ellen literally is like, she's such a fun person to do scenes with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It reminds
You
me
will
of
stop and be like, oh wait,
I
I
agree.
did that wrong though.
So Ellen, you think you're a robot?
I am a rule follower, but also I would have to say that I do consider like and sit back and wait to see sometimes what needs to be done. So, I'll
So
sit back
You got to
and be,
pick one.
oh,
Ooh.
rule follower.
Okay,
I'm a rule
robot. Anyone think she's something other than a robot?
Nah.
Anyone think she is a robot?
Nailed it.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, John?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I guess I'm mostly just reactive things, so I would go for ninja. If that's the case.
Anyone agree or disagree?
I agree with that. I think he's a ninja.
And then
A very powerful
See a
one
little
though.
bit of the rule follower, that one, John. He does follow a lot of
Robot
rules
as well?
in the scene.
Or robot.
Yeah. I think you're pretty well rounded, though. It's hard to pick.
Yeah.
I've seen you do all three of those things, but I could see how you would feel like that ninja is. How about Adam? Adam?
I think robot probably.
Okay. Anyone agree? Or
No.
disagree?
Pirate.
Pirate all the way.
No, I think he adds to the scenes. I think
Yeah.
I think Adam is really like in tune with what's going on, and he picks up on things, and he really adds to the scenes. Like, I think that's his specialty.
Yeah,
I think his
Leonardo-
specialty is starting solid scenes and making them really good.
True.
Okay.
But I would agree, Lee. He gets in and he waits and then he goes and gets everything done. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I find it when I go into a scene with him, I feel like whatever he says, I'm like, oh man, I can feed from here, and I'll just, I don't
So-
even know.
Which of those three things does that make him for you? A robot? Or
That's crazy, right? Because now we're talking about a relationship, well, I guess, yeah, because in a robot, yeah, he's preparing things like,
Yeah.
he's checking those boxes. So when you're
okay,
you're
there you
in
go.
there, right.
Sarah.
I'm pretty sure I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
You bet your
I think we
bucking
established that.
you
Yeah.
bet your buccaneers you are.
Sorry, Ellen.
Hey, that's why robots can work well with pirates. We
I'm
need
gonna blame it on the White Claw.
How about Jeremiah?
I really have no idea of what that perception is for me and myself. But I like to think that with everything I've learned, that I try to go through those. So I feel like a robot.
That's a very politician answer.
It's a very robot answer.
I was gonna say pirate. I was gonna say pirate for Jeremiah.
Okay. So he's sort of on the robot pirate spectrum.
I think so. I feel like you make an impact in every scene. Like I feel like you're noticed in every scene.
Yeah.
You play big roles.
Yeah.
I don't know. Although you were a robot, you were checking off with the door breaking situation or the window, whatever that first scene I ever did with you. Breaking door. Yeah.
Best
Okay.
scene ever.
Daniel, we will get to you, Patty. Daniel. Robot, ninja, pirate, what are you?
Me?
Yeah.
I would probably, out of the three choices, I'd probably think I was pirate.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Lee.
That's all
Can
she
you hear
wrote.
me? Can you hear me? I think that, like, I like to think that I add to scenes, and I try to be like and help the scenes grow and point out funny things. I think like more like a ninja.
Daniel's going.
Possibly. Any?
Okay, but can we also clarify, because I feel like the way that we describe things, like there's so much value in all three of them that like I don't think there's any one that doesn't add value.
Right.
No, there isn't.
Oh, that's so true. That's true.
That's the point. Yeah.
That's why we're all here, gathered here today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Trying.
Yeah, I think Lee's a ninja.
No.
Yeah, I'm with the ninja for Lee.
Okay.
I'd say more pirate.
Like ninja pirate.
Ninja pirate.
Well, what do you think, Adam? What do you think?
I was leaning towards ninja. So I think I agree.
Okay. It's going to be the first thing that pops into your head. I mean, you can argue with yourself, but it's going to be the first thing that pops in your head. Gary, what about Gary?
I actually have zero idea. I would probably lean towards robot with a smattering of ninja. I don't really know.
Any thoughts there?
I would say ninja for sure, not robot. Just having done a lot of scenes with you.
No, I was going to say pirate.
Yeah, a little bit more pirate.
I was going to say pirate with a smattering of
Ninja.
English.
Just a nice
Smattering.
With a crescent stone on ninja.
The nearest pinch. Yes. Okay.
Pinch.
Okay. He's a ninja, but he owns a parrot.
There we go. I can live with that.
Okay, Tony. You guys don't know Tony from doing stuff, but I do. Unless you've changed since I've known you. But what do you?
I'm a little tainted. One of the troops I'm in, we just went over this like in detail about a month ago. I got robot. I think that's correct at this point. I find myself watching, if I'm on the back line, I find myself watching scenes and thinking, okay, what has been established? What does this need? And things like that. So I would say robot.
Yeah, but that's also a ninja thing.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a ninja thing is what does the scene need and how can I interject it? Whereas a robot thing is more like I'm in this scene, I'm jumping in, and I need to make it work. I need to make sure everyone knows the characters' names. I need to make sure that everyone knows that there's only 3 minutes left and we've got to wrap it up. I've got to. So to me, that's more robotish than ninja is somebody who waits and just sneaks in. But so I that would have been my ninja would have been my opinion of you when I used to work with you. So that would have been my thought. Like I said, these are Patty. What are you?
Well, since I've not played with any of you, I can make anything up. But
yes, you can.
We'll believe it.
That is a very pirate thing to say.
Yeah, and
although she was muted, so that's kind of ninja. So
yeah, I'm on the pirate ninja divide there. I would say.
Really?
Yeah, I like to. Well, my the people in the people that I was in the class with said that I was the one with the machete out there clearing a path. They could, and then but I see myself as waiting more and trying to come in. So there's a conflict of those two things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So that sounds pirate-ish, ninja-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a Japanese pirate. Good. Good.
Tom, what do you think you are?
There we go.
I don't know. It's really funny. I really.
Come on.
Honestly, I've been.
We just went through the whole Brady Bunch and came back. You don't know.
Do you need to explain it to us again?
I'll tell you why I don't know. Is that I've done this explanation over the years so often, and people have said you're this, and so then I try to be a different thing, and then they say I'm that, and so I try to be the third thing, and then they say I'm that. So I think it depends on when you're talking about. Now I don't know. I think I don't like to jump into the first scene in a narrative. I don't necessarily like to jump into the first scene in musical improv or even in Shakespearean improv. I don't like to jump into the first scene, mostly because I want to give other people that option, but I'm kind of hanging back. So maybe robot. I don't know. It depends, but.
It's so weird because I was literally just thinking like, oh, well, in this scene, who's this? Well, in that scene, he was this. And I was like, that's the thing. I feel like you said, you kind of almost do jump through them depending on what we're doing. Like when it's more quiet, you'll be the pirate when there's nobody else going out. But then sometimes you're the person that kind of hangs back and lets somebody else do it. So yeah.
That's really, other than the casting thing, that's really the point of this is to figure out which thing you think you are and other people think you are, so that you can start being the other two things, and so that eventually you get to the point where you don't know, because it doesn't apply to you anymore. You just do what is needed, and when you need a pirate, if there's no pirates in that cast that night, you do it. If there's no ninjas in the cast that night, you do it. So you're like the utility infielder. Sometimes you're a first baseman, sometimes you're a shortstop. So I think you get to that eventually where you just, I think about it, like while we're doing shows, I think about it. What do we got tonight? What's going on tonight? We don't have anyone who's going to jump into that first scene and just go nuts. I'll have to do that with Casey. You know, we don't have anybody who's just going to react tonight. Everyone's going balls to the wall, so I'll just kind of hang back. So maybe overall, that's a robot thing to do, to try and figure out how to make it all work. I don't know.
Balls to the wall.
Yeah, it's an improv term. Okay, so that's.
Hey, Tom, can you talk a little? Can you raise your mic up a little bit? It's kind of hard to hear you again.
Is it hard to hear me?
Your Bluetooth speaker, Lee.
Right? Where did it go?
Let me switch make sure that my preferences are correct. My sound is. Where's my sound?
So meanwhile, why are we wearing red?
No reason.
Oh, okay.
For funsies.
Because somebody said something. It's like being in a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning and someone says, "Hey, why don't we all?" And then we should do that. And usually you forget about it.
Then you do it.
Then you don't do it usually. But then
well, I'm clearly not a team player.
You just weren't at the bar that night.
All we can see is your head, Gary. So
that's okay.
That's right. I position it this way now, so I don't look out of place. Yeah.
So did Patty.
she did.
Looks like a Punch and Judy show.
That's the way to do it.
All right. So what is it that we're talking about doing in improv that is different than what everybody else talks about doing in improv, if anything? I mean, how does what we're working on differ, if it does? Wow. Bunch of ninjas.
Well, I mean, I have my opinion on it. Because from us taking all the courses and working with everyone different, I feel like your class in particular, what we're doing here, is more. It's a deeper level. I feel like everything else that I've learned up until your class was more of a how do we make people laugh, and how do we get to the funny as fast as possible, and then once we grab the funny, just make it funnier. But none of it was really about the mind game of the improv and how to make deep connections. So it was more about, how to find something funny and just make it funnier. None of it was really about the depth of it.
Well,
yeah, going on what Dan was saying, I think before we got to your class, it was make the scene funny. And then with you, it was more of a find the funny thing in the scene, which will make the scene funnier.
Okay. Jeremiah.
Yeah.
I find it in a way that it's more organic, the way we are approaching things, because in a way we don't go through that list. We're less robotic, yeah, because we don't go through this list of boxes so much. And yes, we work on things, but it's not like where are we, who we are, I mean, this happens, but because it has to, it happens in some way, shape or form, but I don't know, I just find it more organic the way we approach it.
Mm-hmm. Which is not to say that the way anybody else approaches it isn't a good way to approach it. It's not to say that what we are discovering or figuring out is in some way replacing anything else. All that other stuff you've said is perfectly fine, and if it works, it works, and that's great. It's just another facet of the same diamond we're looking at here. That's all.
I guess, I mean, mostly it feels that way because most of the scenes that we, at least with your class, was start grounded and stay that way and then see where it goes from there. Most the other times, it's, at least in the classes, I always felt like we started on maybe on high notes sometimes, or a little bit, not necessarily wacky, but not as grounded as we've been in the class of Tao class.
Yeah, I would say too. Like I loved it. I actually loved all the instructors. Everyone had its own individual feel to it. Every instructor felt different to me, and I love that. I love that. And you're different than all of them. I mean, I'm glad I did all them and then ended up with you. I feel like I was able to learn from them, but I feel like if I took you first, I wouldn't have been able to learn from them as much.
I don't know if that's true. I don't think. I doubt there are any instructors. We all kind of know one another. I doubt there are any instructors who would say, you know what, Anthony Francis is a good guy and he has a nice motorcycle, but don't listen to the shit he's at. Nobody would ever do that. Yeah, Kat Kenny's kind of cute, but she doesn't. Nobody would do that. Every one of the instructors that I know of down here is worth something. You know, they've all. Some of them have their own approach. Some of them have an approach that they learn from maybe UCB or wherever. So it's not like anyone is telling you, hey, just listen to what I'm telling you. Don't do what they. I can't. Have you experienced any of that from anyone? Not just with my shit, but has anyone said, hey, man, don't. They told you that, but don't do that.
No, everyone had their own taste and flavor on things, and everyone was good. I had zero problems with any one of them. I also feel it might be different because every one of them had a particular curriculum too, where you kind of have free reign to do it any way you want. They all had to teach us a certain level, a certain thing, and a certain.
I know.
If I was to learn from one of them now with a free reign, it would probably be different than the class level 3, level 4, you know. Than just an open mic forum type of thing.
Well, Tony knows me from Miami, and you were taking classes that I was teaching down there, but they weren't my classes. I was just teaching the curriculum down there, their curriculum, but I was teaching it the way I teach it, which is all the teachers there teach the curriculum differently.
I think what you said before about different facets of the same thing. I found with the other classes that it was more about a series of games and a series of exercises to learn how to be an improviser. Whereas at your class, it was more about the art form of improvisation and the underlying principles, which I know is what Tao kind of means. So it kind of came at it from a different approach, from almost a more sort of thoughtful side. Some of the examples you use with the tennis balls and the ping pong balls and that kind of stuff. It was just a different approach, and it was great, like Dan said, to get the principles of how to be in scenes together and learn that with a group who were learning at the same time as you and being able to sort of fail and have fun and do all those things. But then to come into your class and do this as well at these meetings where we sort of talk about improvisation as an art form rather than a series of games and exercises is, I think, the difference. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying those are the two different facets that I see.
Okay. I've said this elsewhere before, but I don't necessarily know whether I see improv as an art form or not. I don't. My point of as far as art form is I don't really care if it's an art form because so what? Who cares? I mean, if I'm doing an improv scene with Tony and we care that it's an art form, but nobody in the audience does, then it's really not an art form. And if we don't know it's an art form, but everyone in the audience thinks it is, then who cares? I think I've tried to define what it is over the last numerous years. And, you know, is it a craft? Is it an art? I think of it as a discipline, I guess, like yoga. You know, it's a discipline. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of seeing things, and you never get to the end of it. And do you create art? I doubt it. Maybe sometimes accidentally. Really. One of the things I want to throw out to you guys, it's another one of these things that kind of sums up an approach as opposed to other approaches, is that there's a difference between chaos and randomness. They're two different things. Chaos is the weather. Randomness is lottery numbers. chaos is a thing, a chaos theory. That's why they have such a thing as chaos theory. It's what the weather is chaotic. It's somewhat predictable, but the only reason we can't predict it more is because we can't get every piece of information that we need ahead of time. But once the weather has happened, we can look at it and say, oh, here's why it happened that way. Here's where the clouds came from. Here's why it was cold. We can see by looking in the past, we can see, oh, okay. And we can predict a little bit of the future. But the further we get down the road, the harder it is, because we just don't have the processing power to process where all the air molecules are going to go. Randomness is random. It's literally pick a random number. At random, it means whatever number comes up. And when you look back at it, you can't say, well, of course the number 47 came up. It's random.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a.
That makes sense.
Marcus de Sautoy says so, and Gary knows who he is. So, but that's the approach of good improv.
So improv is chaos.
Yes, it's randomness and chaos. It's randomness in the moment, in that you're making choices in the moment at random. You can't know what the weather is going to be at the end of your scene. All you can do is take what's happening around you, take those pieces and make choices. And then as you get 2/3 of the way through your scene, you can sort of look back and say, oh, I see how we got here. Therefore, I know where we're going to go. You can't know where you're going to go at the beginning of your scene or your format. But by the time you've gathered enough information and you can look in the rearview mirror and say, oh, that's how we got to this moment here. We strung all these moments together. We weren't aware of it at the time, but now I look back and say, oh, that's how we got here. Let's string a few more moments on the same string. So
it's like chosen disorder.
Well, it's surrendering to the fact that there's no other way to do it unless you stand there and talk to each other about what you're going to plan to do, or write a play and do a play. But if you're making things up on the spot, the only way to get from point A and to know what point B is going to be at the end is to manipulate people, is to say, I have an idea of this whole scene, and I'm going to make sure everyone sticks to it. And no matter what they say or do, I'm going to make sure that they keep coming back to make my idea happen. And that's fascist improv. You know, it doesn't work. You just write a damn play, you know. But if you can figure out that randomness is what you're doing now, it's which ball popped up with the lottery number on it. But you can't look at it that way. You've got to be in the moment, but the moment is made up of everything that's happened before. So the things that you find in your scene to use to propel it further are things that have already happened in your scene. You didn't put them there for that reason. You didn't put there was a scene that students of mine were doing down a few years ago, a 2-person scene, duo scene, and one of them walked in and they had an umbrella, not a real umbrella, an improv umbrella, and they were shaking out the umbrella and they were talking a little bit about it, and they put the umbrella aside, and then they forgot about it. It was just leaning there in the scene. And just as the scene it was really a good scene, and then it was getting to right near what would be the end, and I paused them. And I said to everyone who was watching, I said, what do we need right now? And everybody all the students in the audience shouted it out at exactly the same time. The umbrella. They'd forgotten about the umbrella. But when I mentioned, what do we need right now? They remembered the umbrella, so that the actors went got the umbrella, used it for whatever was needed, and that was it. It was fucking brilliant. It was a brilliant scene. And the umbrella was exactly what was needed. Why the umbrella? Because it was there. Why was it there? Because they put it there. Why did they put it there? For no fucking reason. It was random. That's it. So you take the randoms, you file them away, and then when the chaos happens and then you start to look back and you need a thing, you use the thing that you put there randomly because for no reason. So how does that look to the audience? It looks like foreshadowing. It looks like you planned it. It looks like, who wrote this fucking play? This is brilliant. You didn't know why you put the umbrella there, but it's there. So when you look backwards and say, oh, we need something, there it is. The audience never sees it that way. They always think, holy shit, they plan this stuff. They don't just improvise this. This is written. This is planned. That's what I'm talking about, the difference between randomness and chaos. And if we keep that in mind, that we plant little random things and then in the chaos, look back and use them again, suddenly it looks like not just chaos, it looks like order. You know? Anything? Is that something that I don't think that's very hard to keep in your head when you're doing improv. There's nothing to keep in your head. Just do shit and then remember that you did it.
I feel like that's one of my favorite things about watching any improv thing is that someone is like me and John used to go to a bunch in the beginning when we first learned, and I used to love how it just a whole bunch of stuff was going on, and then they tied it all together at the end. They remembered stuff, and I've seen a couple acts that have done that like amazingly, and one of them I'm thinking of, John. I remember the two guys from West Palm that came, and they were the last ones to perform at the end of the night. And in their act, they put little tributes to every other performer before them. They added little pieces of everyone's act into their thing. And I found that to be amazing because I don't have a great memory. So somehow they did their own thing, plus added a piece of everyone else's thing into their thing. And my mind was just blown away at the end. I'm like, man, that's just amazing how they just did that. You remember that, John?
The Du Bois, I think, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
they
sure.
were really,
Yeah.
Dude, they were amazing, and the fact they did their own thing and tied other people's stuff in. I'm like, man, how much space is up there? I just don't have a memory like that. I wish I did.
Well, you know, in a way, I mean, you could say, well, this is luxury, you know, to do things that way. It's a luxury to foreshadow and to have it. But when you're doing certain kinds of improv, like musical improv, if you're doing musical improv where you're doing a musical, you have an opening number. And that opening number has to have such certain things in it. And it's probably also going to be the closing number. You're going to reprise that opening number, try to remember it, and then hopefully your musical director, when it's time to end the piece, will start playing that song. And then you realize, shit, we're done. It's over. Closing number. And even if you sing different words to it, closing number. You got to know where you are. There's an arc to the story, and you've got to be able to tie it up. It can't just be random nonsense. So you have to bring back things constantly, like in a musical. It has to seem written, even though it isn't. So if you can't cultivate that simple but complicated, I guess, idea, how are you going to do musical improv? How are you going to do good narrative improv unless you can remember what the hell's going on, but stay in the moment? You know?
I was just gonna say, as a new improver, as new, and a lot of these guys here are new, it's hard to have a good memory because we're so busy worrying if we're doing it right. You know, our brains are filled with like, are we doing it right? Are we in the right place? Are we doing this? Is our thing right? So it's hard to worry about all that and still have room for all the memory of everything that's going on. I feel like you guys that have been doing it a while have more space for memory because you're not worried about like just, are you doing it right?
You can't generalize like that. Not every improviser is the same. Not every improviser sees things the way I do. I don't see things the way they do. We don't all do things the same way. Not every improviser who improvises does this. and they don't need to, apparently, and that's fine. There are improvisers that I know who don't adhere to this. They can't be bothered. They think it's too finicky, you know. They just want to get out there and do funny stuff, and I don't blame them. I mean, that works too. I'm not trying to say everyone else is wrong. But I definitely know improvisers who don't do that, and they get along just fine. You know, and many of them have been doing it too long to change. Even if you could convince them that it would be a good idea to do it this way, they're not gonna. They have a product. The product is what they do, and they're going to sell that product. Why should they fuck with Coke to make new Coke? You know.
Well, new Coke, the dogs can't sniff it, so.
So Sarah's first, then Sarah.
Okay.
Say a thing, and we'll all give it the old college clap.
I really liked that.
I had the college clap.
That's improv.
That's ninja. That's some ninja ass shit.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, so I liked the whole pirate robot ninja thing, because I like that you said that the value of having other people point out what you are, even sometimes when you already know what you are, is the fact that then you try to be the other two.
Okay.
So the value of knowing. Oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, ready?
Okay, we're going to try to do it at the same time here. Ready?
One,
two.
Wait, is it? That's improv.
It's like rock, paper, scissors.
That's
3
a
and
pirate.
2. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3. God. Okay.
Fucking
Lee, you're up. Say a thing.
You know.
I was reading.
Yes. I actually read the book, Pirate Ninja Robot. It's a good book. Tonight was a mix of a lot of things. I like what you were saying about the difference between chaos and
randomness.
Randomness. That's a very interesting thought process, and I enjoyed that. So that's what I got.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I keep hitting my microphone. I got Jeremiah next.
Well, Lee took mine, which is kind of messed up.
Bastard. Such a ninja thing.
Fucking ninja that he is.
Yeah.
You know? Came in and just.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested to know. I still don't know what I am. So what am I again? What am I?
Whatever you think you are, man.
What did we say he was?
You
Some
didn't.
people
You guys
said
didn't.
ninja.
You guys didn't give me the final judgment.
I thought he was a
ninja.
I said pirate.
I think pirate too.
I want both
Yes.
of hands.
It was both, but
What
you
am
can
I?
only have one.
All right, pirate,
Yeah, I can see that.
robot.
I say pirate.
I think you can be a pirate if you put your mind to it in a show. Like, in other words, I mean, I think
You can also be a fucking astronaut.
maybe an astronaut.
All right, so I learned today that I'm an astronaut.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. John, I got you next.
Ooh, it goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning of this. I guess something that I always found great in a fellow improviser is having that trust between each other, and just being able to trust someone to do their thing and not try to be the witty person to ignore what they're trying to give you.
Cool. Here we go. No counting. Just do it. It was so bad. Ellen.
Oh my
Ellen.
God. All of the above. And then what I liked is just, going over that everyone has kind of their special attributes, obviously, robot, ninja, pirate. And I don't want to be a robot anymore, so I'll try a little bit of pirate, which, so I like that, being supportive and grounded, crazy, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm going to try something different.
Cool. Adam, I got you.
Look at that.
Adam.
I think I freeze.
What's that?
You froze for a second there. I thought we were going to get a freeze during the
No,
class.
it's just I had a mild stroke. Adam's up.
Something that Tony said resonated because it's something I've heard Tom say before.
Wonder why I said it.
That utilizing silence is such an easy way to own a scene and like control it and build tension and manipulate it. It's just so easy to do. You just literally do nothing and let the scene speak for itself. And if you can do that well, yeah, it does show some level of maturity in improv, and it's so easy. Like it's so nice. Like when you see someone else doing that, it's so nice and easy as a scene partner to say like, all right, let's do it. Like to join in is so easy.
Yeah. As long as your troupe realizes that that's a thing and doesn't jump in because they think you haven't got anything to say. As long as they give you the space and time to do it, which is something that your director should make sure that they do. Cool. Daniel.
It was nice to see some new faces here, man. Tony, appreciate it, man. Nice to meet you. It was awesome. I like the, I never thought about trying out for something when it comes to improv because, we've always kind of been a group that I started with. So the fact that just the thought process of how you would try out, what it would be like, the uncomfortableness of it, and just the thought of it made me kind of really analyze like what I would feel like in that moment. And, I feel like it'd be real nerve wracking and that just proves how uncomfortable I still am. So just the thought of trying out, I never crossed my mind. So thought that was interesting to have some talks on that.
Okay. And clap. Hey. Good. Besides, comfortable is a bad place to be in improv anyway. That's just being complacent, and nobody wants to see complacent improvisers. Tony.
Well, I appreciate this platform. First off, I haven't. There's not a lot of room, at least in my experience, where we get to sit around and talk about these fundamentals in this way. So this was awesome. First off, I love the randomness and the chaos analogy. This one, I think I've heard every description of like the core of improv. I get a new one, and this was really something to me. I like how it portrays that you shouldn't, it's pretty much impossible to want to control to control a scene at all, even especially at the jump. Just things are going to happen, and 2/3 of the way you just kind of find your way and try to add some things to make it go a certain way at the end. So I really like that. That was a good way to. I hadn't heard that one before, so that was great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, wonderful.
Nice.
And now Lauren.
Well, I have nothing profound, but I do really like the pirate robot ninja thing and calling out what I think I am versus what the group thinks I am, because those are two different things. It also makes me wonder, are there more than just three? Like, is there like ballerina or something else that, can describe a type of personality? But it's just something to think about. It's kind of rhetorical, but yeah, that was really cool to do that exercise with everyone, because even some friends, I would say, in my eyes are one thing, but totally see themselves as something else. So it's all about perception.
Very profound.
Thank you.
We're done. Oh, looks like another power spike is coming. See you guys next time.
Everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Pleasure meeting y'all.